Maybe this time I'll get lucky. Maybe this time he'll say. Maybe this time, for the first time, love won't hurry away. He will hold me fast. I'll be home at last. Not a loser anymore, like the last time or the time before.
Now that's a reason for stage fright.
And that's enough reason to get stage fright.
So stage fright is something that is did you know that it starts in the brain? This chemical thing in your brain happens in the amygdala, whatever that's called, and it sends a signal to the hypothalamus, which sends a signal to the nervous system. You believe all this? And it gives your body the energy to fight or flight or flee.
So that same feeling that you get when you are in an actual dangerous situation, let's say a bear is approaching you, you can actually feel that just talking to someone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're in a traffic jam.
Right, or when you're on stage, which is
definitely, fun. Definitely. So, you know, that whole feeling of being on stage, have you ever experienced that? Like that pause, that kind of like, oh my goodness, looking around at the audience, just going, get me out of here.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like sometimes it's such a fine line, because sometimes you get like butterflies in your stomach, and it's kind of a good feeling of excitement, but the second you cross that, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous, I'm shaking, you know, sometimes you even get a physical reaction where you're just not performing.
Sweating, your heart races, your body shakes.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I was standing online in a competition, and I could not feel my legs like that. I just couldn't feel them. And I was walking on the floor, and my whole brain was blank. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so scary. I know, and it's like, I'm sure you practiced, right? And you had it
absolutely,
all set up, and it
for
just,
sure.
everything falls away. It's scary.
But you know what saved me?
What?
Practice.
Right.
Practice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just going through it so many times that even if your brain is blank, your body still does what it's supposed to do.
Right?
For sure.
Your body will carry you through it.
Yeah. There's a whole debate about muscle memory. Or it does its job.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good. It's a good thing. So that's why I guess one of the ways to maybe overcome stage fright would be to just really practice and be as prepared as you can. Because there's no worse feeling than stepping on stage and like not fully knowing your lines or your dance.
Oh my goodness.
It's just, you're setting yourself up for failure. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is something that I think that when you go above and beyond and really imagine every single step, that's another thing that I love to do, is just really envision every single step going exactly as I had planned. Just everything working out. I imagine every lift going up just as I had planned, shoulders, posture, and everything just perfectly.
Yeah.
And I just keep visualizing that from the start to finish.
Right.
And that really helps.
Yeah, and I think something really important is it's just like, don't, like the audience, right? Because that's where the stage fright comes, because I know so many people who will sing so brilliantly in their shower, and then the second someone comes in there, you can't even sing at all. So it's really just, I know it sounds bad to say, but it's really like, in a sense, disconnecting yourself from the audience and just feeling like that. You know,
absolutely.
They're witnessing you, you know, and
yeah.
no matter who it is, I don't care if it's the president, the Pope, I don't care who's watching me, but I know what I have to say. no matter who's there.
I love that. They're witnesses.
Yeah.
And we are there for them.
Right.
That's another big thing.
We're doing them, I don't want to say a favor, but we're giving.
Of course we are.
We're being vulnerable, and I think that's something so admirable. And no matter how good or bad, I don't even think you can use the words good or bad in performance, because as long as you're sharing your heart and being vulnerable, you've done it, you've won. And I really think, no one's going to judge you for being vulnerable and for having the guts to step on stage.
Absolutely. And when I listen to somebody like you sing, first of all, the organization, you're very organized, you're very rehearsed, and that's admirable, and you have a gift.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you. And that gift is something that you are offering to all of these people that have come to see you. And when you think of it that way, then I feel like it's your responsibility.
Right.
It's like what you have to do, and you have to not make it about you, about me.
Performing isn't about impressing people and showing people how good you are. And I feel like if you step on stage with that in mind, it's going to be so obvious that you're trying to impress that you just need to just let go and just, if you have a gift, which, and a passion, just do what you love, and that will really read well,
For sure. So if you think about worst case scenarios, what would be the worst case scenario on stage?
Yes, that, you could die.
Oh yeah, that would be bad.
That would really suck.
Yeah, something could, especially if you're on a stage, could just break off the ceiling and fall on the head.
In the Phantom of the Opera, isn't there that scene where the chandelier?
Oh yeah.
That could happen.
And then there's
Dangerous.
that recent shooting.
Right.
We could really die.
I feel like the world is very dangerous in general.
True.
But the stage is a pretty safe place, right?
I think for the most part. I mean, it's safer than flying.
Yeah, exactly.
I think statistics show it's safer than flying.
And there are usually exits, so if something, you could just run.
Yes. Yes, you could just run off stage, but that would kind of defeat the purpose of sharing the gift thing.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. Well, there's dying, but that's highly unlikely. So what else could happen? What else could happen?
I guess people could dislike your performance. The critics, right?
Throw
Everyone
tomatoes at you?
that too. Just throw tomatoes, chairs.
Did you ever see that actually happen?
Not in person. You?
Charlie Chaplin when he was Charlie Chaplin, famous, silent films, and when he didn't throw it at him, they threw it at his mom. At least.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
That's
really. He was a little kid. That's how he started performing. They threw him out on stage because his mom was bombing out. So it turned out good. I mean, there were some ups and downs, but in the end, Charlie Chaplin's super famous.
Yeah.
So throwing tomatoes started that.
And also, I heard Al Pacino. He now that he's older, was doing a Broadway comedy show, and I heard that everyone just walked out in the middle of it because he was forgetting his lines. So I guess he was a little unprepared because he probably thought oh, Al Pacino, I don't need to learn any lines.
There you have it.
Everyone left. So that's a bad case scenario.
Yeah, that's bad.
Even if they do leave, screw them. If they don't want to see
that's
your
true.
art,
Exactly.
I'll keep performing.
I agree with them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They can all walk out and we're gonna still perform.
It's it makes me think, even with the music industry, you know how many people used to tell Lady Gaga in her gigs she would wear these these outfits, and everyone was ew, what are you doing? Until that one person came in the room and said, okay, we're gonna make you a star.
Well, that's the thing, I mean, how many artists are famous after they're long gone too?
Right.
But if you're just really focusing on the art, you're focusing on doing a great performance, and you don't think about all those worst case. You can think about the worst case scenario, but with perspective.
Exactly.
The chances of all of these things that we're saying are highly unlikely, and at the same time, you can't please everybody.
That's so true, and it's not the end of the world. Art, they say, disturbs the comfortable and comforts the disturbed. So even if someone doesn't like your work, you're still kind of successful because you made them feel something, and that's what art's about.
That.
You don't always need to make someone feel happy. When you go see a tragedy or a sad show, you leave feeling disturbed, and that's great because that's powerful.
For sure. So let's offer a couple of things that might be helpful for performances. So I will say that one thing is really, like I said earlier, is really don't make it about you. especially if you're in a scene or a show or a dance or anything. Make it about the person that you're with. Try to make them look good and try to share that gift with your audience. That would be one major thing.
I love that. Yeah, it's like, it's a beautiful thing. Like, I don't know, like it's an experience, you know?
For sure.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Something I usually do too is I do shows, not just theater. So sometimes I do gigs where I'm myself. So that's scary because you're
for sure kind of like a comedian. I mean,
right.
You are a comedian.
Yeah.
I've seen you.
You're going up
very funny. You guys are very funny. Yeah.
Thank you. And it's scary because it's not like I could hide behind a wig or, well, sometimes I do, but you know, you can't. So what helps me is to really just like tame myself and put myself in a character. I don't need to go on stage and be exactly me. You know, I usually put on my glasses and I kind of just take on this quirky, funny role, and it makes me feel more comfortable. So I guess that's what it's all about. You're putting on a show, become a character. You don't need to go up there and share your darkest secrets.
That's right.
Just, what is entertaining? What is, you know, and you could still be vulnerable through that character. In fact, it's usually easier to be vulnerable through a character.
Absolutely. I love that. That's one thing I always teach when I teach acting is that you are acting. You are a character. You know, you're sharing, it could be based on true stories, but you're still a character. And also I would say definitely deep breathing, right?
For sure, meditation.
Yeah. Meditation, for sure. Martha Graham used to sit and go through all of her choreography and be sweating because she performed when she was 90. How cool was that? Awesome. And she would go through all her choreography, not getting up, just sitting, visualizing it, and she would be known to like break into a sweat because she would be so intensely going through that choreography. So that's another great way.
Just being committed and just, that's really
committed
wonderful.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's every single day doing what you love to do and then sharing it with your audience.
Right. And I just thought of something like, as far as commitment, it's really, you know, perspective. You mentioned perspective. Everyone is feeling the same way. Like I've often walked into auditions and I'm like so nervous and I'm like, oh, these girls are also, it's like everyone's nervous, everyone's worried, and even everyone in the audience is just worrying about how they look. And you know, everyone really just cares about themselves at the end of the day.
That is true.
You know, like even if I have a bad performance, no one's like, oh, Julia, like no, everyone just cares about themselves. So I think it just helps to think, you know, you're not alone in feeling nervous. There's nothing wrong with feeling, you know, frightened, but it's just good to learn how to control it for your own.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything else we can share? Any other tips?
I'm trying to think of. I think we covered a lot. Oh, I know. You know, it's often good to think of it as an opportunity. I know I was talking about that earlier. Really, like performing is such a wonderful thing that not everyone gets the chance to do. And I know with a large audience, it's scary, but not everyone gets a large audience. So just think of like. Sometimes embracing, like, wow, these people are here to see me. I have
absolutely, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And having that, going through the experience and overcoming it. Yeah. How great does that feel? So you know what I mean? Like overcoming fear, and that is the big thing we talked about: fight or flight. That's the real thing. When you run away from the situation and you don't go through it, then what have you got after? At the end of the day, better to have tried and failed than to never have tried at all. So that's the big thing. And you learn from failing. Failing is okay.
It's actually great. You know, you need to fail in order to. I know Barbara Streisand, I think it is, used to like throw up before her performances. That's how nervous she was. She would just like be such a wreck. Yeah. And I think over and over, and now she says she just walks on stage and she's good. So it's just about practice. But you know, that could have been considered a failure. She was probably super visibly nervous. But you need that, and you need to grow, and it's good to recognize, okay, that wasn't my best performance, but that's great because now I have room for improvement. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Take chances and don't be afraid to fail. Yeah. And we are
Julia Davo
and Stephanie Falciano from
Long Island Hustlers.
All right, thank you. Until next time.
See ya.